There's Daniel.
There's no audio. Do.
It's a Bitcoin podcast.
What happened to the audio?
Oh,
look at this. That's new.
I think what's happened is we uploaded videos, but we used the draft and then the final draft and then the final real
Final
draft.
actual final dot edit final draft.
Final real.
Oh well.
Now I see why like companies actually, because I'm in the process of doing stuff like that, and companies just put like this is version 1.0.0.0.0. So fucking gives me plenty of room for mistakes.
You know what semantic versioning is?
I have no idea. What is it?
It's like a versioning system for software updates. So
oh, that's a thing.
Like the one, like the number means something. And so
the more you know.
If you increment the first one, it's like a hot fix. The second one is an update that doesn't have breaking changes, but it's a significant update. If you implement the second one, it typically means it has breaking changes. So like it's not compatible with things behind it.
Really? I always just use those as a joke. Like I would make an Excel tool for someone and I would be like, this is version 1.0
semantic versioning.
And they would be like, hey, this one could use a drop down right here. And I would be like, no doubt. And I would fix it. But like
16.0.3.
How many versions does this have? Many.
It's bigger every time.
Yeah. The more you know. Well, maybe I'll start using that right, because if I ever run into the wrong crowd of people and they're like, how's this version 1.2.3? You didn't even do any hot fixes. I'll be like, I don't know what the fuck a hot fix is. This is the version that I named it. That's the number.
Well, now you know. And knowing is half the battle. That's where we need like a star wipe G.I. Joe overlay.
Yeah. Have we started? I think we're live.
You know what I didn't do because we changed the day of the podcast was get the QR code Coinbase. That's supposed to happen, but I was expecting to get it done by Friday, and it's not Friday.
It's all good. We're awkwardly live right now. Where's the intro music? Like,
Don't have any. Just introduce yourself.
All right. Episode 346 of the Bitcoin podcast. I'm the host that talks first, D.
I am another host, Dr. Corey Petty.
And I'm the third host, Jessie Broke.
Does it bother you guys that we're counterclockwise in our order?
No. It might now, but no.
Hey, but that's positive rotation on a circle. So,
Sliced.
Just killed it. So this is the Bitcoin podcast where we talk about crypto things. Today we've got a suite of topics to talk to everyone about. A suite, if you will. Before we get into that, though, like, how's you guys' weeks going?
I'm very tired. I'm very tired. I didn't sleep last night for no reason. I woke up at 1:30. Didn't go back to sleep.
No.
It's now late on Wednesday. And I worked all day, so.
You sure you're not doing the hard drugs?
We're doing some I have a coworker staying with me this week, and we're going through some big changes at work and trying to plan things and lay the roadmap correctly. So we're like basically just working as much as we can while we have time together.
I could dig it. Why are you so tired, Jesse?
Oh, because my body doesn't react to large amounts of caffeine well, and then I can't sleep, and stress and anxiety of this test looming.
Nice. We're really starting out this episode with some banger, energy.
We are making people feel great.
We are starting out with some killer vibes.
What about you?
Let me
Yeah.
tell you
How about
something.
your week?
I'm
You're
not
gonna
gonna
fake it?
I'm not gonna follow the trend here. I'm full of energy. I'm bursting out the seams with energy. Let me tell you something. I just got through doing some backflips before I hopped onto the show because I got that much energy. All right. This has been a phenomenal week. Phenomenal. Just getting a lot of work done. I get energized when I cross things off the old to-do list.
Does
But
that
I'm
mean
excited.
does that mean you have a to-do list that's like make a to-do list, cross first things off to-do list, and like those like the first two things you catch, and you're like, I'm getting the day started right.
That's how I trick myself into it. That's it. The first two things on my to-do list are make to-do lists and so no, it's been a great week, man. I got no complaints, it's just good week. You can have those. Got a lot of good things in the pipeline, so I'm feeling it. And I bought my dog a blanket, so that was fun. He was like,
That's
for
cool.
me, bro. And I was like, yeah, man, I know the summer's right around the corner. We got spring going on, but you look like you need a blanket. And he was like, I appreciate you. And I said, you're welcome. So all in all, good week. But today in cryptos, especially, like, crypto's blowing up, y'all. It's crazy. It's just blowing my mind. Like we got Visa, MasterCard's around the corner because they were like, on Monday they were like, somebody intern ran in like, sir, Visa's using crypto, like officially it's going down, and they were like, Visa's doing what? Like, huh? Visa's settling what? And then MasterCard's around the corner. American Express is probably never going to move, but so
American Express, we don't care.
Yeah.
It's their motto.
We use the same amount of numbers, but just group them differently to make you frustrated. So for those of you that don't know, Visa has said, not only are we going to be using crypto, but you can use crypto, and we're creating a way. We've already settled one transaction on the Ethereum blockchain using USDC. So they're settling things in USDC, which is just digital dollar. What's the C stand for again? I think it's USD. USDT is Tether. TUSD is True USD, and USDC used to be Circle. So I know Circle.
Is it not still Circle, or
is it USD?
I don't know. Let me look it up.
Let's Google that real quick. But it is a stable coin backed by a 1-to-1 peg with the United States dollar.
It's just USD coin. So the C stands for coin, not for center or not for circle.
That's not even cute at all. I think Circle was a part of the initiative, right? At the beginning.
I think so, yeah. Or the center, right? Center or something.
By the way, Circle is low-key engulfing the planet in crypto. Like, remember Circle? I don't know, Corey, if you remember Circle from back in the day. Well, they low-key had one of the largest exchanges in Europe. And then they just electric slid over here to the US, bought the shit out of Poloniex, changed it. Then they got their big, I think they're one of the huge players in the USDC. I mean, Circle's making moves and nobody really knows about it. So that's what's kind of slick about, damn, who's the guy that runs Circle? Fuck. Anyways, so Visa is now going to be settling their transactions for USDC. How does that make you guys feel?
I'm curious to see what it does to transaction volume associated with fees, because if they're settling on Ethereum, what's the fees going to cost? And that's probably going to be more than what they would normally cost for Visa Network, especially based on the current congestion.
USDC runs on multiple blockchains now, right?
Yeah, so it's not on Ethereum.
So it's not on Ethereum. Yeah,
if they're going to minimize fees, it won't be on Ethereum.
Which blockchain does it run on? What does the USDC website say?
So it runs on Ethereum, Stellar, and Algorand. And I think they're adding a few more.
Is it one of those things where if the USDC runs, the more chains it runs on, the cheaper it is altogether to use it?
I can't answer that, actually.
Wow, that'd be an interesting question to know the answer to. So we have, as of March 2021, 10 billion USDC were circulating on March 29, 21. Visa announced that it will allow the use of USDC to settle transactions on its payment network. So it's settling on the Visa payment network, settling USDC on the Visa payment network. So that kind of provides a little bit clarity.
So Corey, how does that work? How does USDC live on like 5 blockchains, different blockchains? 3 right
They're
now.
comfortable with the way in which you move from blockchain to blockchain and hope that the volume doesn't change.
So does that mean there's a bridge between Ethereum and Algorand, Ethereum and what is Stellar and
Either that or they're like separate deployments and they're considered basically the same thing.
is there a way like
Sound
to
on my
use,
microphone?
like,
My headphones just went out and I have to check this out. 1 second.
Why is there a random floating hand?
I want a hand.
What is going on? What just happened? Okay. Corey just had a random hand, which I can only assume is his wife's, show him something on a camera. He started laughing, and now he's gone. So we're gonna keep on with the show. We're gonna keep it rolling. So this is huge news in my viewpoint. The reason why I get so excited, obviously, is because every single week we see this new mountain of legitimacy heading towards cryptocurrency from very large entities that most normally were basically shunning crypto for a very long time. And it isn't until the last 2 years or so, last year really, where... Do you want to explain yourself?
He's still fixing his audio in his headphones.
Oh, okay.
My headphones went out, so I had to fix my audio.
Oh, okay.
I had to plug them in. My battery died, apparently.
Whose floating hand was that came in and showed you a meme?
Aaron had to show me a message. That was my phone died. All my shit's dying apparently. Last week, like I haven't had a phone in like half a week, which has been very strange. To not have a phone.
Really?
Nice strange or bad strange?
Both. Right. It's been nice to be like disconnected and not be looking at this thing every 20 minutes or more. But like there's a lot of stuff that I like rely on it for, like just general information. And I don't want to get up and do like move to figure out the rest of it. And like people, like some people I only like SMS text with because they're old and I don't get to talk to them. And
I see.
So, but like, and so apparently the phone that I had ordered was supposed to be delivered today, and it is not being delivered because they're afraid of my driveway. So that's what Aaron told me.
Interesting segue.
Well,
So
sorry to disappoint.
Well, we were talking about. I thought it was a meme that was much better than that, but
no, the meme was our FedEx deliveries to garbage.
Well, make a safer driveway, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
It is a dangerous driveway.
So Visa settling in USDC, which is very vague language because USDC started as an ERC20 token, and now it's like a engulfing everything token. So it's kind of even hard to get down to what this actually means or what the ramifications could be, because USDC, it seems, has evolved since 2018, 2017.
Is it still ERC, like just ERC20 on Ethereum? It's not anything else, right?
Well, the ERC20 standard is kind of the standard across all fungible token blockchains.
What was the USDC V2?
I think they've streamlined. So I know if it took after what happened with what they did with the Aragon token upgrade, they updated the contracts because they wanted to streamline them to be more gas efficient. So standard transfer didn't cost so much. If I had to guess, a V2 would do something like that, or they removed certain functionality. Well, USDC doesn't seem like they would remove administrative functionality. That seems like they would add it or make it more secure. I don't know what it was, but it's usually just upgrading the contracts and migrating the token to it. But like if you were to do that, if you, instead of like changing a parameter on a contract, it's not something you would do when you deploy a smart contract, which is what these tokens are. An ERC20 token on Ethereum is a smart contract. If you want to update it or change it, you need to make a new contract, which gives you a new address. And so in order to do that, you then have to tell all the exchanges that your token lives here now and not the old address. And so in order to like get balance accounts and track transfers and see who has what, they needed to change their back end infrastructure to look at a new contract and consider that the right token. So I don't know what updates they did, but it's not an easy process.
This shit goes deep. God damn, this shit goes deep. Okay, so I can't even conclude what it means then. If Visa is I can't even deduce what it means if Visa is settling USDC transactions when USDC transactions could live on multiple blockchains.
What it does mean is that we've certainly reached a threshold of legitimacy where they're not just ignoring us. They're actually using us, and they're potentially going to make themselves more efficient or hedge something. I don't know like what their game plan is here, other than maybe tap into the market. And like, hey guys, it's like when what's his name, Steve Buscemi, that like meme where he's like in a high school, is like, hey kids, I'm just here for high school. Like it's one of those situations.
Do you think that like I mean, this does grow an enormous value like proposition for the USDC. So
in terms of on ramps, it's a lot of on ramps. But if you look at a lot of the stuff that we've been seeing lately, this is something that Dwayne just said in the chat. We can put that on the screen. If you look at on ramps, a lot of what's been happening, I think PayPal is also one of the ones that we have on the list. If not, they recently started allowing users to buy and sell
crypto checkout. It's a pretty catchy,
but it's like you can't do anything. You can't add crypto to your account in PayPal. You can't withdraw crypto you have in PayPal to a different wallet. So there's no ownership there. They're just giving you kind of exposure to it. And that may be like a first step for them, because building a full fleshed out wallet is not easy. Also, there's a lot of like legal ramifications and risk mitigation for doing a wallet when you already have a traditional banking infrastructure. It's like as an initial easy path to dip your toes into crypto, having full control over the crypto at all times as a custodian to your users is probably what these people are going to be doing. And I don't foresee them being like, and banks being like, okay, you can have crypto here, send it from wherever you want, withdraw it to wherever you want. It's going to be like, no, you buy it here, it stays here, you then get rid of it through us.
It's getting closer, Corey.
From them keeping their books clean, it's the easiest way to do it.
Can you explain what EIP 2535 is?
Not off the top of my head.
Diamond Standard.
Jesse, what the hell kind of question is that?
Where are you at?
I'm reading the USDC V2 update. I'm looking at the contract update. It's called EIP 2535 Diamond Standard. It says design pattern for upgradability and composability. And so I'm just looking at the way that the actual smart contract changed.
It's a standard for changing addresses in a delegate call contract. So it's like it's trying to build a standard for how you upgrade contracts. So most of the time, well, there's a common development and deployment pattern that's optimized for making sure you can upgrade your contracts later. That's like very modularized. So like the way you do it is like you have some type of program that you want to build, and you then break that up into like its core components, like modules, if you will, because that's what modular programming is for. And then each of one of those is a separate contract. And so and you break those up in terms of like what core functions do they have, and like how easy it is to upgrade just this thing without impacting other stuff. So like anything that needs to be upgraded that impacts itself, it becomes its own contract in a lot of ways, which then becomes its own address when you deploy it. And then what you do is you deploy like a proxy contract, which like directs incoming transactions to the right contract to then execute. So that way, if like you want to upgrade something, you only have to upgrade one part of the whole program as opposed to the entire thing. And so it gives you kind of this like separation of concerns when doing smart contract upgrades, which is a very big thing when you have to deal with like storage slots. There's some real weird subtle issues when how you upgrade smart contracts, where you can like really shoot yourself in the foot, or just wreck the whole thing. And so this delegate call design pattern is a way to kind of mitigate a lot of that risk. The 2535, what it looks like from a surface level, is a standard for how to do that.
I see.
The more and more this show goes on, the longer I see that, yes, we are going to have the last boss of centralization. And we've done nothing to make anything trustless. What we've done is transformed how you trust things.
It's always been that way. It's more about like it's a balance between humans and the system you're trusting.
Yeah. All we've done
do you want humans to trust? Stuff. Or do you want the majority of that trust to be like a system that's run by like a fair human game? You know what I mean? Like a lot of these decentralized networks are like proof of work is just a way to pit a bunch of humans together to play a game to do certain types of competition. Nailed it. That picture is perfect.
So it's literally just like the Matrix. Like we need the machines and they need us. Like that's it. That's it. That's the punchline for anyone out there in the audience that hasn't seen all three of them. That's what you're watching. That's, spoiler alert.
Well, that's a weird thing that we've been trying to encapsulate its status and try and figure out what that kind of narrative is, because our whole thing has always been kind of community building, but how do you market that? How do you broadcast that? And we've currently gotten to a point where like the networks that we're involved in are run by algorithms that are like developed by humans, but kind of on their own in a lot of ways. Like recommendation engines are the majority of the things or the reasons why we stay on social networks, right? And they're optimized to hold on to your attention. So what you choose, what's given to you, presented to you to stay on a specific social network, whether it be YouTube or Facebook feed, is designed so that you're going to engage with it more times so they can feed you ads. And that's a machine, right? That's a machine serving you. Like there's people that watch the algorithm, they do minor tweaks and stuff, but for the most part, the vast majority of what's happening is that humans have their hands off. And that's led to kind of this very impersonal, outrage-driven, attention-seeking behavior when you engage with like the communities you're involved with. I'm curious how, like, I think what's interesting about how we're building trustless systems is we're reintroducing humans as the curation mechanism in a lot of ways. Like we're just trusting that the rules that are set forth in whatever game we make don't get changed. And they're enforced whenever you play the game without a human saying, yeah, this is how it's done. But then from there, you're relying on humans to do everything else. So like all the like AMMs like Uniswap or what are they, automated market makers, that's all humans making decisions, and then the machine just making sure the rules are enforced.
You think this is like a perpetual cat and mouse game? Because like the only reason we're doing this is because the old system didn't work too well, or we didn't like how the old system worked.
Well, there's this like interesting thing about like complexity theory and complex system is that like understanding emergence is really, really, really hard. So like you design a game of simple rules. And for those who want an example of this, go look at the Game of Life by Wolfram, Stephen Wolfram. Like it's a game of very, very simple rules, but like infinite complexity to a point where like you don't understand what can happen when you just let the game play itself and you just like set it up and you push go. Like it's very, very chaotic, and a game of very few simple rules can lead to something that's incredibly chaotic where you can't understand it. And so we're really bad in emergence. So that's what we've been trying to do. And social networks, the way they currently are on Web 2, is an example of that. We're seeing what the emergent property is aggregation of data, tremendous fee-based economies, and kind of this circular loop of like the companies are doing whatever they can to garner attentions even content creators are doing what they can to garner attention so they can monetize the attention to serve ads to them. And so like the internet was built to serve ads very efficiently the way it's currently made. And I think these systems, these blockchain systems are an attempt to try and build something new to see what other emergent phenomena we can come up with, because we're not happy with this one.
So what else besides attention seeking or attention harvesting do you think that is going to be an emergent property of this?
Surveillance?
Is that good?
Oh, he dropped a bomb, but
it's the same thing. I mean, it's just like, well, when you tend towards aggregating a bunch of data, you also have like a social implication of like offloading responsibility to somebody else, because that's not your responsibility. When something goes wrong, you just say, hey, company, fix it. Something went wrong. Like the trending behavior is somebody else takes care of the situation for me because I don't have the control to do it.
Now you have that control.
We got a segue.
You have the option to have that control.
I want to talk about this after the interview.
Yep.
This is good. I like that. Surveillance doesn't. So what you're saying is surveillance doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing.
I did not say that.
Yeah, he just said a property, like an emergent property of Web3 might be surveillance.
Yeah, but
it is a property of Web2 for sure, but it's very clear that how it happens and what's given up, and who's doing it. That like how surveillance is done, and whether or not it's worse or better remains to be seen, but it'll still be there.
Okay. We got to talk about it after the interview. So we interviewed Chad. Just your normal everyday Chad, doing Chad things on the Chad night. Doing Chad things on a Chad night with his Chad days. Jessie, did you like that interview?
Yeah, he seems like a very cool guy. Very down to earth.
I was not happy that I had to miss this one, but I was indisposed.
Sometimes it bees that way. That's why we have 3 layers of redundancy. Well, more than 3 actually. But Jessie powered through. Did a solo dolo on this one.
No, Alicia joined me. She actually had some questions because he was an ex-skater.
Oh shit, Alicia with the questions.
Well, she said,
and Alicia saw him on articles back when, in her younger days, I guess.
Okay.
I hope that's the clip. I hope that's the clip she gave us. Are you in the interview? You on the clipped interview, Alicia?
Yeah. And I mean, I would imagine that over time, and maybe this is an absurd claim, but it seems like as we move into more of a virtual existence, and Metaverse becomes more common, and there's just more virtual interaction, more virtual meetings, etc., more virtual events, products being sold. Going to, I would say, cut down on a lot of the energy consumption outside that's happening that needs to be reduced. And I think that potentially or hopefully could offset, the energy consumption for what is going to be required to create these things in the future.
It's already been in progress, but 2020, what happened with the pandemic, has demonstrated in a very scientific way what the difference between outside energy consumption versus inside the digital world. And I assure you, within 5 years, when there's that hardcore peer-reviewed scientific studies about the environmental impact of this very much global 1 year everything happening to everybody, we'll see certain changes and stuff like that. And it's already occurring when people are thinking about redesigning their cities to make it more pedestrian. I see that with different European cities have done this for the past couple of decades of removing roads, putting in bike lanes, walkthroughs, and Houston has this big project that they're trying to put where they're going to get rid of like one of their highways and put this green, like this section of the highway infrastructure, this green walkable passage area in part of their city, to make it to where the concept is something that used to be occurring before cars, where you have the grocery store within basically a 0.5 mile distance of people. You work within the few blocks where you live. So you're not going out spreading out, if you will, and consuming cars, transportation, goods and services and stuff like that coming to you and stuff like that, it's going to be reduced. It's not going to be eliminated, but there will be.
Oh, of course not. Yeah. It will be reduced. But yeah, even you think about the butterfly effect of all of those things too, or if you keep going and counting like the production needs to make the physical goods that are out there being made, like so much of that stuff.
And some of that's becoming localized depending on the overall infrastructure of your country as it is. So where, particularly with like in your world, 3D with 3D printers and the changing in manufacturing and the becoming more robotic and manufacturing is becoming through an interesting space where you might necessarily not need to have someone coming in from a different country with a product. You might just they're already doing pieces, but the pieces might last a bit longer because it's more efficient to break it apart and create more things. You're not transporting as much, or it's just overall people are thinking of these things are changing to where you're not, you're still going to have trade and all that stuff, but you're not doing as much of it, if you will. It's just more efficient and it's not consuming as much energy or things of that nature. These are things that are being discussed and planned out, and they're seeing little bits of this happening already. And whether or not it's going to be enough of a global impact to where we're not having, they keep changing the doomsday when it comes to climate change being a permanent thing, but actually changing the environment and changing overall structure and even people structures, if you will, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be too long until Amazon just comes over and like changes your diaper and makes sure you're fed.
Amazon's becoming the way-owned company. Name the sci-fi dystopian corporation, and it's.
Oh
Amazon.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah. So, I have a question too. So, this is just kind of a topic that I personally am always interested in, is the discussion of like digital versus virtual assets. The difference between like a JPEG versus a 3D file, which you can actually go into, and it is immersive.
That was a small snippet. A small snippet of Mr. Knight. It seems like it got pretty deep. I don't know. There's a lot of pushback when it comes to like, is people going full digital, half digital? The digital life.
Get down.
Ooh, just you and me. You could be
20,000 miles away.
I can see ya. You can see me.
JT knew about this a long time ago.
It's a good song, man. That's one of the songs. That wasn't a single either. That was that was deep in the album. That song.
We used to play that for our friends who would have long distance relationships, but this is before like internet dating was really a thing.
Yeah, we were pretty in sync on that, Corey.
We were. 100%.
Anyways, so what we were talking about before is like, one, it's really hard to predict emergent factors. We were talking about surveillance versus surveillance, like sous vide, like sous chef.
I'm kind of interested to just type it in and see what happens, but I'm not.
Yeah, we should Google that on the incognito tab. So surveillance. I mean, can it get worse than it is, Corey? Like, they can already store every phone conversation that's had in the US. They can already watch all these videos and store probably
what you're told is going on and what's going on are two very different things. And it's hard to suss between the two things, but what we can know is exactly what's being done on a public ledger and all of history for it. So
interesting.
And this is something that I brought up in the interview that I conducted for Denver about privacy, right? It's almost not even surveillance, right? It's a public ledger, and every time that you make a decision that potentially exposes more information about yourself and then links that information to previous things that you have, you're potentially compromising the privacy and security you thought you had at the time when you did it. Let me give you an example of this, right? I wanted to, like, I'm just making this up. I wanted to give someone some tokens without anybody knowing. So I put them through a mixer, and then they ended up in the right place. And I was confident that like there wasn't a connection between the person who received them and me sending them. And then I continued using that coin. And then later on down the line, I attached that same address to some other transaction that I did, and that raised some type of flag for that previous relationship that I tried to obfuscate. I sent that person money directly instead, and that's the type of situation where like people who are doing chain forensics can look at that and gather that type of information and start to build more and more of a confidence around my connection with specific other people. Or if I'm using multiple addresses and they get linked together, the entity of addresses that could be me, if I make one information leaking transaction that then pins my real address to that digital identity, that digital entity that's like forensically made on the blockchain, this is what Chainalysis and Elliptic do, then they have a very high confidence of being able to pin that to me. And so like something I thought I did previously that was actually done correctly in terms of privacy and security, in terms of obfuscating information on a blockchain, can get exposed later on down the line if I or someone else who has control of these keys is not careful. And so like what I'm trying to get at is like, I'm not trying to tell people that they should be doing nefarious things and they need to keep track of things. I'm saying that like the context in which you present yourself with cryptocurrency can change based on actions you take later on down the line. And you can't take that for granted. And this is part of the reason why Bitcoin chooses to use like HD wallets where every address is a new address, because it minimizes the chances that are happening on accident. Whereas blockchains like Ethereum that are account-based, you're always using the same account, right? Like I have an account, corepetty.f is my account. That's my public account that I don't care if people see, right? And if I connect things to that, then people can see that over time because you can build that graph. And all that stuff lives forever. It's on the blockchain. And the better and better and better the technology gets for analyzing the blockchain, the more information they can gather over time.
Does hierarchical determinism happen on Ethereum?
No. I mean,
why not?
You could do it, but you're not doing it for every transaction. So like, but when you have a seed phrase in a given wallet, right? You make a new wallet, they say, hey, back up these 24 words, and that's your seed phrase. Keep that safe because that's all your keys. What that's doing is that it's generating a new address every time you would like to generate a new address. Say I would like to have 3 accounts in my wallet for status. What I'm doing is like, it gives me the first one, which is like the generic standard account you'd get in all Ethereum wallets. And then I say, I want to make a new account. It's not making a bunch of new stuff. It's generating it from the same entropy of that same seed phrase. It's rotating an index and making another seed. So if I move my seed phrase to a different wallet, I get the same accounts. But that just makes that's like, I would call those in Ethereum like my general spending account, and then maybe like more of a savings account or things I don't like touching, or like this one's for a specific thing. It's however I want to name them. It's up to me. But that's the key point, is that I use them over and over again for a specific purpose on Ethereum. Whereas in Bitcoin, they're more than likely just single use. And that's also what Wayne's saying. It's like, it has to do with like UTXOs and account management of blockchains like Bitcoin that are UTXO based.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of weird things that you can do for like exposing people's wallet information. So you like he's saying, like you can do these interesting things like drop a bunch of dust and then watch them aggregate it into the transaction they make to aggregate a bunch of small pieces of say for instance Bitcoin from a bunch of different UTXOs. automatically makes a link to a bunch of addresses they control to one that they move. So it links a bunch of addresses together on the blockchain. And you can see that on the blockchain as a type of transaction that doesn't happen often. It's these transactions that wallets make in order to like do some account management and try and like clean up all the UTXOs they're keeping track of. Because like when you see a number in your wallet for a Bitcoin wallet, or any UTXO based wallet, you see just a number. What that actually is a bunch of different UTXOs that is keeping track across the entire blockchain with small increments on it. And it's just adding all those up and saying, you have this much Bitcoin. But when you say, I want to send a fraction of that Bitcoin to somebody else, it then says, well, what's the best way for me to aggregate all my options of UTXOs so that I can like clean up some of those things or send the minimal amount or whatever. So wallets do different ways in which they can kind of craft transactions so that they send the right amount of Bitcoin, while also like making sure that I'm having to watch 40,000 different places on the blockchain to keep track of your accounts.
I don't like any of that.
I just kept going.
I don't like any of that. I don't like any of that.
Welcome to the blockchain. It's a public ledger. Treat yourself that way.
So it's hard to Zcash. It's hard to like know the ramifications of things like what Visa says and what Tesla's doing. Like,
why do you think the Fed and fiat is so enamored by this technology? That's the ultimate boss, right? They're making it in such a way that they can just do whatever they want.
All right. Well, that's a hell of an episode. Let's wrap it on up. Hey,
sorry for that's what happens when I'm tired. I get real negative.
Do you need a job, audience? Are you working in a job that sucks balls? Does your job suck and ergo your life? Do you want to change that because your life is sucking? Join the TBP Slack. Get a better job.
I cannot get over how much I love that chick just like touching Web Giants.
That's the best commercial I've seen. And I'm not just saying that because I was a part of making it. I like that commercial. It would get my attention. It's better than
I would laugh out loud without saying LOL. I would laugh physically out loud if I saw that commercial somewhere.
Your jabs suck. All right, so let's do a couple shout outs. Let's wrap it on up. Shout out to Megan Thee Stallion. She's over there above Corey's shoulder now because he specifically wanted to be there. Because he said, I'd like to be underneath Megan one time. I said, Corey, we can make that reality true for you. Shout out to Michael B. Jordan, who he's got a new movie coming out on the old Amazon. Looks like it's gonna be one for the books. You know, he's doing his thing, old Michael B. out there. You know, look at that guy. Look at him. Look at that jacket. Look at the lapels on that jacket. That's a powerful man right there. Shout out to his boo, Lori Harvey, because, you know, enough said. Look what's happening there. Look at how she's pulling off that shoulderless half shoulder shirt right there. One shoulder's warm, the other's cold, and she's saying, you know it. So I got this functional shirt to take care of that situation specifically. And shout out to old Long Smiles, Zoe Saldana. You know, we could just get a better ratio picture. I think get a better aspect ratio, but I'd rather keep calling her old.
I kind of want to just keep it that way now.
Oh, Long Smiles, Zoe. You know, doing it for everybody. Shout out to you guys, the audience, of course. Shout out to am I missing anybody? Daniel, Alicia. We give everybody. You'll get one eventually. That's it. Play the outro.